Hello, everybody, and welcome to Self-Care. This is Reverend Jodi Suson-Calhoun, and my co-host Vagla is across the room having her little midday snack. And today we're talking about decoding your emotions, and I am so excited. Now, our guest, Shirin, is a little stuck in traffic and having some complications, but she will be on very soon. So don't worry about that. And we've got plenty to talk about before that happens anyway. So let's talk about decoding your emotions, shall we? So we are electrical beings. Did I say that right? We're electrical beings. So what that means is that we emit a frequency and it comes from mostly from our heart. Actually, it comes from our entire body, but it comes, it pushes out from our heart. And when our heartstrings are attached to the outcome for other people, we can become tethered to those people and to their energy, right? And so when you back up and you go, okay, so how are we going to decode our emotions? Well, you decode your emotions by first assessing whether or not those emotions are yours or not, right? And so my friend, Rajai Keldani, brother from another mother, he and I taught a class on how to access source energy. And it looks like I've got to learn how to cancel my other phone. I turned off one, but I have two. So give me a moment while I just figure out to turn that off. So I don't know how to turn it off. Yeah. Okay. So we'll figure that out in a minute. I think we're on Do Not Disturb now. So going back to decoding your emotions, if you are constantly reaching out to somebody else energetically because you're so worried about them, you are going to feel them because people feel you, right? And they are going to feel you. And so that means you have this energetic cord going between the two of you, right? Well, what is that? Why does that matter? Why does it matter that we have an energetic cord going between us? Well, because if the person who you have an energetic cord with is feeling pain, you are going to feel their pain. If the person who you have an energetic cord with has depression, you're going to feel their depression or sadness. Same with anxiety or any other emotion, quite frankly. Stress, you no longer have sovereignty over your own physical and emotional body or energetic body, really. It's all of it because we're all entwined. So meaning if you're feeling someone else's pain, it shows up a pain, like pain for you. I can tell you multiple times where I'm walking down the street or my husband's running and all of a sudden he gets a sharp pain in his knee or I get a pain in my back. There was a woman who was pregnant and she walks by me and she's got that lower back pain. And I'm like, well, I don't have any back issues. It wasn't my issue. It was her issue. So we are so corded and connected to people that we can take on someone else's energy and mistakenly believe that it's ours. And here's what you want to know. We all have what's called a spiritual imprint, right? So if you're in relationship with somebody and you know who they are, right? And so all of a sudden they show up and they seem different. They seem off. Their spiritual imprint is not aligned with who they really are. Why? Because they have someone else's spiritual imprint on them. And now it's like having a stranger in your house. So, and so we're going to talk about these types of things today. And I think Shirin is ready. If she gives me a thumbs up. Can't see if she's giving me a thumbs up. Shirin, put your thumb up in the window so I can see it if you're ready to go. Cool beans. All right. So let's start the party, shall we? So, hey,
Hi, Jodi.
you look amazing.
So do you.
Thank you. Thank you. So I started the first only 5 minutes of the show, and I let people
Mhm.
know that you're having, car technological things going on.
Yeah,
It's
it is
okay.
retrograde. It's retrograde, so
It's retrograde,
to be
and the thing,
expected.
yeah, or you can just shift the energy, right? Knowing that it's a retrograde, you shift the energy in advance, which is what I do. I
Hmm.
shift it in advance so things can operate with ease and grace, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
because you're an amazing energy shifter, if I might say so myself.
Thank
Uh,
you. That's such a compliment coming from you.
oh, please, come on.
No, really.
Well, thank you.
You're
Thank you.
incredible.
Likewise,
Mhm.
sister from another mister, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I was telling everybody about before you came on board about how we can take on other people's energy because our heartstrings are connected to that
Hmm.
other person.
Hmm.
And so why don't we talk about, because I think it's such an important thing, because a lot of people think that their sadness is theirs, their depression is theirs, their anxiety is theirs. And a lot of time they're just absorbing the energy from somebody else, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And we're more likely to absorb emotions from other people when there is something that resonates deeply with our own wounding.
Well, right,
Hmm.
because what is that? The law of attraction,
Yeah, like attracts like. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I love it.
Hmm.
And so, you know, it's a real thing. And so I was really analyzing this with my husband last night as well. And one of the things that I came up with is that and then I'll let you chat. Sorry, but I had to
Oh,
start talking in the first 5 minutes.
yeah. Yeah.
So when I was, so most people know who follow me that I was misdiagnosed in 1997 having bipolar disorder and schizophrenia too. And I've often talked about how I wasn't able to regulate my emotions because of the food supply, right?
Hmm.
And GMOs under the radar, and toxicity, glyphosate, like name one or five, right?
Right.
But I've never really spoken about the fact about how powerful it is. And I think a lot of people are getting misdiagnosed because of this. How powerful it is that we as energy beings are so compassionate and we're so empathic and we love people. We want to be with people,
Yeah.
and we absorb their stuff and end up with a misdiagnosis. Like how many times a day is that happening?
Right. Yeah.
What do you
I
think?
don't think that's really even in people's awareness that that could potentially happen, you know? I
I'm
mean,
absolutely certain of it because my husband and
Mhm.
I both said that we both thought the other person had bipolar disorder. 'Cause he was absorbing an energy, and I don't want to say who it was from,
Yeah.
but from someone who has a brain health issue.
Right.
I mean, a
Wow.
serious brain health issue
Hmm.
because of a sport that he was involved in, um,
Hmm.
getting hit in the head. And so, cancel. So I started recognizing the behaviors. I'm like, this is really weird. It wasn't even my husband. And then it was like scary because I'm like, who's walking through the door? Right.
Yeah.
And you shared that you had similar. Do you want to share like your experience with, you know, knowing someone and maybe being like put off by their energy or repulsed by their energy?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go too much into detail on this because, as you know, that's a very personal matter. But I think
Yeah.
throughout my life, this has been an ongoing issue for me where, and I don't want to say issue as a bad thing, but something I've been aware of where there's been people that I would just come in contact with that I, for whatever reason, just shut down in front of. You know, like I can't be myself. I can't open up. I can't have a conversation. And as I got older, I learned that that was my maybe my higher self or my soul's way of saying, this person is probably not in alignment with you, or it was a protective mechanism that it took me a while to actually recognize. But now I'm very aware of it. And if somebody's energy is off-putting, or if it makes me feel uncomfortable, or if it makes me feel a certain way, I just automatically take that as a sign to keep my distance, or, check my own energy, because sometimes other people's energy can be a mirror to your own. So I think it just takes some discernment to kind of figure out, like, is this person triggering me, or is this person somebody that I just need to keep keep like arm's length distance with? You know what I mean?
I totally know what you mean.
Mm.
And I think one of the ways in which we can help regulate our own biofield is
Yeah,
to keep ourselves properly fueled, right? So what would
right.
that look like? For me, minerals and ginkgo, right? You know,
I know, yeah. That's so important for you. I think minerals are important for everyone, though. I mean, all of us are deficient in minerals because they've been so depleted from our soil. They're not as bioavailable in our fruits and vegetables, and most people aren't even eating an abundance of fruits and vegetables. So that's an issue all on its own. But yeah, where are we getting our minerals from, and are we even getting them in the appropriate amounts that we need for brain function and optimal vitality,
exactly. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, it's really weird. I'm not sure if my video did go live here on Instagram. Give me a minute. Okay, there it is. Um, so no, we don't have enough minerals. But the key also why not glyphosate, why ginkgo is so important to every single person on the planet,
Mhm.
unless of course you're allergic to it.
Yeah.
Right? Um,
That could potentially be cleared.
who do you know that has allergies or fruit sensitivities?
Well, I think between the two of us, we could probably do something there.
Yeah. Well, I actually have a process, right? So
Uh-huh.
I access the meridians,
Yeah.
and using the Healy, and I just reverse the food sensitivity and then
Mhm.
work the brain with the sound frequency. So, because a lot of times you can reverse food sensitivities, which are rooted in trauma, which is why we both can do it. But
Right.
the staying power comes when we pair it with a specific vibration, binaural beats, that do a reset on the neural network of the brain that caused the trauma to begin with. It gets
Yeah.
activated when you're resetting the food imbalances, you know.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But the reason ginkgo is so important, it's amazing at neutralizing things like glyphosate.
Mm.
And glyphosate is the one thing that pulls all those minerals out of the body. So I'm putting them in, my smoothies. I put ginkgo and minerals in my coffee, which
Do you
is
have the drops? Use
I do.
drops?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I didn't recommend the powders. I
Uh-huh.
mean, don't get me wrong. When you're traveling, powders are the best because you
Yeah.
can't get on a plane without them,
Right.
right?
Right.
At home, tinctures.
Yeah. Yeah. I love tinctures too.
Yeah, me too.
What are your thoughts about bringing in the energy of the ginkgo? Because I know we've done that before. Do you find that's effective in
I
clearing?
do. I
Yeah.
do. Like when you look, I think it's always better to consume the plant. I really do. But like if you can't, go into a meditative state, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ground yourself, bring in Jesus Christ, and ask Jesus to bring in the frequency of all the minerals that you need to function at your full potential. Same with
Mm-hmm.
the ginkgo and anything else that he thinks is a good idea, right?
Yeah.
Or something
Yeah.
better,
Right. I love that, or something better, because it kind of covers all the bases that we might be forgetting.
right? Because we're in human form, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. Such an important statement to add.
right, and
Yeah. Not
um,
just in prayer, but when like manifesting or just with anything.
yeah, and so I thank you. I agree. And it was taught to
Mm-hmm.
me by somebody where I worked in 2017, one of the owners of the company that I worked for. So
Yeah.
he's a bright light.
Yeah.
So when people are decoding their emotions, we were just saying, about these heartstrings and We're talking about keeping your nutrition up because it keeps you in balance.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about staying hydrated?
Oh my gosh, hydration is so important. When you're doing energy work alone,
Mm.
it's really it makes it that much more difficult to do the work if you're dehydrated, and if you're working on somebody who's not hydrated, I feel like things just don't clear out as efficiently and you can't clear as much. I think hydration is such a key factor. I mean, most of us are dehydrated. I think I read somewhere that if you're not peeing like every hour on some level, you're dehydrated.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true. It
Uh-huh.
doesn't wouldn't surprise me if it is true,
Yeah.
right? At all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know even though I sell water filters and all that,
Yeah.
I mean, I just know that I still don't drink enough water. Like,
Yeah.
it's always a challenge for me. So what I do, a new practice I have is when I get up in the morning, I drink a glass of water. So it's sitting by
Mm-hmm.
my bed. I don't have to go to the sink and get it. It's right there,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So, and there you
Mm-hmm.
go. Mhm. Hmm.
I always have water on me. I never leave the house without one of these. But also adding minerals back into your water is so important too. Because our water is dead, right? It's lost all of the vital nutrients that I think it once had, unless you're drinking spring water, you know?
Well, my water, actually, I'm going to muscle test this. Well, I was going to say, so if you're doing reverse osmosis, your water's absolutely dead, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, if you're drinking filtered water, which I have, the filtered water takes out 220 contaminants, leaves the minerals in. The
Oh,
question I want to ask Spirit is, uh, okay, they're like not even. Give me a minute. I didn't get a chance to ask the question. They were already in. Because you can't really ask what percent. The thing is, am I getting a significant amount, infinite incredible, am I getting a significant amount of minerals from my water when I filter it the way that I do? No, no, like you're right. They're saying it's still dead water.
yeah.
Regardless if you're doing reverse osmosis or um, filtering it. The good thing is
Mm-hmm.
that you don't have toxins in it. One of the things
Mm-hmm.
that Dr. JR, who you met in Chicago, because we
Yeah.
see each other in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
um, one of his clients brought like a little cup of Celtic sea salt. And so, because we were doing so much energy work, we wanted to stay grounded and stay in our body and not
Right.
lose our energy. And so I've never just eaten salt like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little hesitant, and I stuck my finger in, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that's delightful.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just like, because salt has what, 80, Celtic, I think, has 84, 86 minerals. Each salt
Okay.
is missing one mineral, and they're all different minerals.
Right. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know which.
Yeah, and then fruits and vegetables have minerals too. Like I always add a little squeeze of some kind of citrus to my water or cucumbers or something just to put something living back into my water. I feel like that makes a difference in hydration levels too, because then adding that allows the water to get into your body and hydrate you more deeply on a cellular level as well.
Hmm. There was a woman who I was just listening to her video. Please don't
Mm-hmm.
ask me her name. And she was talking about um, how she goes to the farmer's market, she puts all her food out, and then she prays on all prays for all the food. She
Yeah. Oh,
says
that's
she
beautiful.
well, I mean, but she's an
Mm-hmm.
MD,
Mm-hmm.
so she's looking at it from a scientific standpoint. She says
Yeah.
this food is going to nourish not only my cells and my body, but my children that I have in their bodies and their
Mm-hmm.
and the generations to come.
Yeah.
And so I know from a scientific standpoint, and listen to this, people, because it's true. I knew it before she said so, that we can change the cellular makeup, the DNA of the food that you eat through prayer. And you can do to your body too.
That's beautiful. I
Mhm.
mean, there's a Japanese doctor who did studies on programming water. Dr. Marmoto
Masu
or something.
Masuro Emoto. He's like, I talk about him on every
Right.
freaking show.
Okay. Yeah. So you know about this, and but I think a lot of people don't, and it's so fascinating that that we can change the crystalline structure of
Mhm.
water, which is literally in everything and within ourselves by putting in positive intentions. We're mostly made up of water too. We're not that different from a glass of water when it comes to wanting to put positive intentions into it, right? So if it can change the crystalline structure of a glass of water to make it more beautiful, what could positive statements and affirmations and restructuring, rewiring belief systems do to our own being? Like it's
So
profound.
70% for the brain. I think it's
Yeah,
60% for the blood is water.
right. Yeah.
And I have it in the book, which you're now a contributing author. So happy to have you here.
Thank you.
I have the book of all
That's
the
not.
other organs, tissues, and cells and
Mhm.
what percent, but honestly, I don't remember. But the point is made, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you are water. I am
right.
water. Our listeners,
Mhm.
you are water.
Mhm. Yeah.
Pay for yourself first. So,
So important.
so let's go back to decoding emotions because
Okay.
I mean, I think it's really important what we spoke about, right? Because we're talking about the things that impact our emotions, the mineral
Yeah,
intake, whether
right.
or not we're hydrated, whether or not we're protecting our energy. And one of the things that, I had a problem with growing up was protecting my energy. And I would always say I'm a people person. I like to get my energy from other people, not knowing that was a really bad idea.
Mhm.
I mean, this is like when I'm in grade school, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
I don't know squat, right? Just know how I feel.
Right.
Um, so, what can people do? Because here's the thing. I've already taken them to, and I'm just going to show it real quick. There's a video you can watch with Rajai and myself where we
Mhm.
teach you how to access source energy. And then when you watch that video, and I will find that while Shirin is talking, and I'd like Shireen to one of the questions you want to ask, I'm sorry, is this my energy? And then
Mhm.
Shireen, because we started kind of wonky, why don't you share with people what you do and why you do it? Right? Because
Okay.
we we just got off to a different start. And while you're doing
Yeah.
that, I'll get the video and post it. Sound good?
Okay.
All right.
Sure.
Mhm.
Okay. So I am an energy healer. I work with the emotion code, the body code, the belief code, the akashic records, reiki, um, and I really just help release energetically trapped emotions, also known as emotional baggage. I help clear out imbalances that are causing suffering in the mind, body, and spirit, and clear out belief systems that are causing us to feel stuck or stunting our growth so that we can move forward in life in the way that we desire. So, the emotion code is really the foundation of this work because I believe, and there's a lot of research supporting this, that trapped emotions or emotional baggage, which is just our own personal collection of negative energy. It typically originates from some kind of emotionally charged or traumatic event that is in still some way affecting us today. So these trapped emotions are oftentimes contributing to the root cause of why we deal with certain health issues that we do, whether that be something physical, something emotional, mental, or even spiritual. We can be spiritually disconnected from source as a result of these trapped emotions.
And are
It's
these
not.
trapped emotions coming just from this lifetime?
No, they're from everywhere. Such a good question. Um, they're
I'm
from
just
other.
teeing you up, girlfriend.
Yeah, thank you. They
Uh,
are from other lifetimes. They can be inherited, so generational trapped emotions, absorbed, like we talked about, from other people. They can be shared between people if two or more people have experienced the same type of traumatic event at the same time. So, like an earthquake or a shooting or something like that. And then we have just common day to day trapped emotions that are just result from everyday life. So there's a variety there, and there's usually a
It's
lot to
like from
unpack.
watching TV, right? Get trapped
Hmm.
emotion. Honestly, it's more prevalent than what people think. But go ahead.
Yeah, so there's a lot there, and you wouldn't necessarily think that something like ancestral trauma or past life trauma affects us as much as it does, but it really does, it contributes to certain fears and phobias that we have, and it prevents us from living life in the fullest way possible because these fears, they hold us back. They prevent us from being able to show up in the way that we want to, but for whatever reason we can't. And they contribute to stagnancy and self-sabotage, and just they create these patterns that are really difficult to break out of, especially if there's something generational there, because this is something that's been passed on, family after family. And my personal belief is if you have awareness around the fact that there is generational trauma in your family. And this is something I was aware of at a very early age, where I witnessed this trauma happen in front of my eyes. And I was, I was very aware of the fact that I was going to be the cycle breaker. And this is, I'm talking like age 8, like I was aware of this. I knew that I would do things differently. I saw things that I didn't understand, but I didn't like. And I knew that I wasn't going to carry that forward with my own family one day. So it's the process of getting there. And it's not simple and it's a journey. But if you have the awareness that there is that type of trauma present in your family line, then I think it's your job to do something about it, because otherwise the cycle just perpetuates. This trauma never ends until somebody somewhere is willing to be the cycle breaker, is willing to stand up and do something differently and create the change, not just for themselves, but for their entire family. And you do it for yourself, but it has a ripple effect, because anytime we're clearing and identifying anything inherited or anything shared for that matter, it's cleared through the entire family bloodline. Inherited trapped emotions are cleared from the ancestor that picked it up. It could be like 50 generations in the past, all the way down to whoever inherited it, from yourself, from your parents, from your children if you have children, and even from your unborn children, because it stops the cycle. And same thing with shared trapped emotions. It's cleared from anybody who's sharing that trauma with you, that exact same experience. So it's really powerful. And then the past life trauma. These past life traumas always, 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 they connect to something that's going on with us in this life. Whether
Mhm.
that be a pattern that we keep, that it's usually, I feel like it's usually like it doesn't always make sense, and it's an irrational fear, right? There's no real reason for it. It's not like we had something happen to us in this life that's causing this fear that we have, but that it's because it's from other lifetimes, and it's just something unhealed that's showing up now because it's part of our mission to figure out how to recover from it. And so much of
Because
that,
people are suffering
yeah, people are suffering.
and they don't
And
need to suffer. And this is not, I mean, it's hard work, but it's not hard work. I mean, it's not hard work for us because we do it for a living. But anyway,
I like to call it heart work, because it really does come from the heart,
nice.
you know?
Yeah.
And you have to have that intention of serving and wanting to truly help other people to really make a difference and to make their lives better and to clear things that are causing suffering in their life.
Yeah, and I think that it's really important. How do you, if you do, and I'm asking a question that I don't know if you know the answer to, but how do you help people determine the patterns that they have?
Yeah, so I think just talking to them in that first conversation that I have, usually it's in the form of a discovery call, and understanding like what they're struggling with right now, what are the things that are causing them suffering in their life.
Hmm.
And generally, there's a story there. And then, whether we do the emotion code, the body code, or the belief code, that story kind of unfolds very naturally, especially with the emotions and the beliefs. The belief code is really great at actually just spitting out the subconscious story that runs over and over in your mind of ways that you are either self-sabotaging, or creating these limiting thought patterns that are preventing you from being able to have these experiences in life in the way that you want to. They show up as a story starting with like a negative program, which really is very apparent because it comes out as our negative self-talk. Like those are the easiest ones to really identify, because they're the ones that are playing on repeat. But some deeper patterns, some deeper statements that are not always as apparent are like limiting beliefs, which I think most people know today. But limiting beliefs are not the ones that are most obvious to us all the time. They tend to lie a little more deeper into our subconscious. And then these statements go all the way down, usually to something that happened in our childhood, where this original faulty core identity was formed. This statement where all of the negative programming and the limiting beliefs and the faulty core beliefs grew from. And when you read them back, when we identify all the statements and you read them back, it reads like a journal entry. And then it's really, really easy to see exactly the pattern of trauma, the pattern of just
Well,
of
what
negative
about like the
thoughts.
one where I don't feel like I'm lovable,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
I'm not afraid to tell people my shit. So,
Yeah.
because I thought about it and I didn't want it
Uh-huh.
clear because first of all, I want to clear it myself, and
Yeah.
the other reason I didn't want to clear it is because I felt there was something more to it than just what happened to me at age 4. Which, if you want to know about
Mm-hmm.
that, you'll have to read the book. Uh, so,
Can't wait.
what's that?
I said I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be, it's we're going to start the pre-orders on Amazon probably in about 15 or 15, maybe 10 days, probably
Mm-hmm.
less than 10 days, honestly. But I'll show people the book in a minute. But so I was thinking about it like, oh, I think it's what happened to me at age 4. And it was, but it was actually passed down by my mom,
Yeah.
and my
Yeah.
dad. And I know
Yeah.
exactly what happened to them.
Yeah.
And so, the thing is, I was, talking to someone earlier today that most of these emotions, not all, but a lot, but a good portion of these emotions that we're feeling, the unlovable, I'm not good enough, they were never,
Mm-hmm.
that was
Mm-hmm.
something that grandma and grandpa got,
Mm-hmm.
gave birth to you, came through the
Yeah.
cell walls,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it is yours for free. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's something that I actually forgot to mention. You can actually have trapped emotions from your life as a fetus.
Mhm.
These are called prenatal trapped emotions, and they usually get trapped in the third trimester, but they can be trapped before and they get absorbed from usually the mother or the father. And I mean, we
It can
know
be in the sperm. I mean, it could be just like, it doesn't have to be in that trimester. I mean,
that's
it
when it's generational. Yeah,
comes.
that's when it gets passed down at the time of birth, where it is generational, and belief systems can be generational as well. So, there's so much that we carry that's not even ours, that's been with us our whole lives. And it's like, what would it be like to be free from that baggage, right? To be free from everything we've been carrying that's not even ours, that's affecting us deeply. It would be incredible, right? How light would it be?
So, right. So it
Hmm.
would, instead of not feeling good about yourself, you could
Hmm.
joy. You
Right.
could live
Yeah.
with purpose. You can live unattached. And this is the big one, unattached to the outcome that somebody else has when they're walking a path that is going to
Yeah.
lead to destruction. And you
Right.
plant the seed, you tell them what the outcome could possibly be and what
Hmm.
the options are, and then you just let it go,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You
I
can't
mean,
belabor the issue.
yeah. I mean, identifying these patterns, these emotions, these beliefs, these imbalances overall, it clears the path for personal growth, for empowerment, and it gets us unstuck because so many of us are stuck in cycles or stuck in patterns that we may or may not even recognize. And it just allows us to live the life that we were meant to live, powerfully.
So, I mean, that's exactly it. And,
Mhm.
you know, I'm going to actually, I should ask, I'm trying to get us followers. I'm going to do a thing on Facebook real quick. Why
Okay.
don't you give people an example of some things that they can do to clear energy on their own that maybe not theirs to begin with, while I go ahead and do a follow.
Okay.
Get
Okay. Yeah. So something that I like to do, and I practice this after every client I see, and I practice it before I go to bed at night. But it's called dry brushing, and I shared this with you yesterday. And it's
Mhm.
really simple, and anybody can do it. It's a practice that I learned in Reiki, but you don't need to be, a Reiki master to do this. Like I said, anybody can do it, and it's just a matter of setting your intention, and that is the most important thing going into it. It's just setting the intention to clear off any energy that is not yours or for your highest good or something better. So you start by, taking your, can we see my hand? Your your
I
right
don't know.
hand.
Hold on, I'm on the other. Yes, great. Yeah,
And
we're
then take
closer
your
to
right
you.
hand and put it on your opposite shoulder, so your left shoulder, and then just swipe down your entire arm to your fingertips, like you're
Mhm.
just like wiping off, I don't know, sweat or just something yucky, right? And
Water,
then
even just toxic
water,
water.
right,
There you go.
right. There you go. And then take the same hand and slide it down your left shoulder all the way to your right hip. Like you're cutting cords from your belly button. So you want to go over your belly button and just like flick it off, right? Do the same thing with the other side. So your opposite hand on the opposite shoulder, slide it down your arm all the way down to past your fingertips and flick it off, and then repeat going down to the opposite hip. And just do that a few times, setting your intention. And I really do feel like that is beneficial in releasing anything that's not yours that you don't need to be carrying. Also, cutting these cords, because we all, anytime you have a conversation with somebody, you're creating this invisible string attaching yourself to them, right? It doesn't need to be somebody you care about. It could be anybody. So we're
Well,
cleaning
I
that
mean,
away.
let's be really clear. It
Hmm.
could be somebody you don't like.
Yeah,
More
exactly.
importantly, because we were going, I want to do this appropriately. Okay, so if someone's going through a divorce, okay,
Hmm.
I was helping someone go through a divorce several years ago, and that person kept on getting attached to the person who they were divorcing, and
Yeah.
they kept on getting attached because, of course, that they generally cared for each other when they got married, right? They had
Hmm.
a love. There's still some sort of courting and attachment, and so that you can get courted or attached to those people, and
Yeah.
some and so sometimes if you're not thinking about doing this, go outside
Hmm.
and lawn or take a shower, right? Like
Right.
get it off of you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think this works for daily, just creating daily balance and proper energy flow and making sure you're not carrying things with you that aren't yours. But I think for deeper chords like that, you probably need to go to, somebody who knows how to properly clear these chords. Because chords, if you're going through a divorce or if you have chords that you've had with you for a very long time in your life, energetically connecting you to people, and these are inherently negative chords, it's going to take more than just swiping like this to clear those off. They're thicker, they're harder to just cut with your intention on your
They're
own. So
sticky.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes there's something associated with them that you need to clear first before you can even remove those cords. Especially if it's a divorce, there might be trapped emotions associated with these cords that need to be cleared out of the way before these cords can even really properly be removed. So, for daily maintenance,
Mhm.
for optimal energy function and flow, dry brushing is great. But for deeper issues, where there is definitely trauma between you and somebody else, I think seeing like an energy practitioner who's well versed in this, someone like you or myself, we can clearly cut those cords and remove anything attached to them. And that would be way more helpful than trying to do it on your own, because I honestly don't know if somebody could do that on their own without being well versed in energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was gonna say I do it
Mhm.
on my own.
Yeah,
However,
we can. We
we
can.
we're highly
Right.
trained. I mean,
Right.
um, and that's the thing. I do like
Mhm.
to teach people to do this on their own,
Right.
classes and so forth. But the
Yeah.
truth of the matter is, it takes a lot of practice. It takes a commitment to understanding energy. It takes a
Hmm.
commitment to having self awareness when the energy is off. It's
Right.
taking a commitment to understanding not only when is the energy off, but Why are you feeling the way that you feel? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Try getting a man to do that, by the way. I mean,
I
come
think
on.
most people in
Moms
general
train the
don't want to spend
boys
the
not
time.
to feel their feelings, okay?
That's conditioned for
I
sure.
know. So
Hmm.
it's a struggle. It's a real struggle.
But it was
So
conditioned for me too, which is, I
what's
think,
that?
that was conditioned for me too. You know, not to feel my feelings. That was from early childhood where you just that was the family pattern. You just shove everything under the rug. You know, you don't conceal, don't feel, right? Put on
Mhm.
a smile, make sure everybody out there thinks your life is great, and never show anybody exactly what's going on underneath that smile is how I was raised.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of trapped emotions I needed to clear. I mean, this work that I do now, it profoundly impacted my life, and that is why I do the work that I do because I am my number one client. I might see people all over the world, but I am my number one client. You know, I'm working on
Amen,
myself every
sister.
day.
Because if you're not healing yourself first, you
Yeah.
cannot help others.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, this work has shifted my life, and through that shift, I found my purpose.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I hear you. Me
Yeah.
too. Um, uh,
So yeah, well,
so
I think it is conditioned more for men to hide away their feelings, right? But I think that is changing. And I think culturally, some cultures practice that more than others. You know, I think my culture specifically is one that highlights just showcasing this version of yourself that could be unrealistic. But people, that's what people want to see. So that's what you give them. And that's what you're taught to show up as a child, as a young adult, right? I mean,
mhm.
how often are you asked, how are you? And how often do you answer honestly?
um, well, I now answer honestly.
Yeah.
I
But for
mean, I
most
was at the
people,
store, the grocery store yesterday, or not yesterday,
uh-huh.
but a few days ago, and the woman, she was so delightful, and she says, "So how are you?" And I said, "You really don't want to know."
Yeah, right. And most people don't. Like
Right.
it's usually like a passing statement. Hey, how are you? And it just people keep walking, but they're not really sticking around for the answer, you
So
know?
who is this? It says Tamal Salsa. I really like what she has to say, and I'm hoping she's going to share more. Okay, hold on a
What
second.
does she say?
He says, I am finding that out more people I find I help decluttering. The emotional clutter they have inside spills out into the physical clutter all flipping day long. If you're washing your clothes, okay, in the washing machine and it comes out twisted, or in the dryer it comes out twisted, that is a clear reflection of your life. Okay.
Right.
Then, well, thank you. I'm glad you saw my post and decided to come in. So then there's more, right? So if you're not decluttering, this is so important. I'm so glad you're here. If you're not decluttering, there's dust, there's energy. Energy attaches to everything you have, like your chairs, your walls, your books. So you actually have to have a practice of clearing that energy. So when we dust our home, I'm bringing God in as I clean the home and having him clear not just the dust, but the energetic cords or the energetic energy from the table, the chair, the floors, whatever it is I'm doing. I'm bringing in God all day long. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and it is emotional clutter. I mean, because our emotions don't just get trapped in our bodies, they get trapped in our stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
you buy something. I was at a friend's house and she had this mask that she had from, someone who had passed. It was a cool Indian mask, right? And I looked at it and I'm like, I mean, you can see my eyes popping out of my head. So, I mean, and my eyes did pop out of my head. I'm like, that's just really bad energy on that. And as soon as we took it outside, I mean, I did clear it, but we took the whole thing outside because it was like too deep, um,
Mm-hmm.
clear. The energy in the home lifted.
Yeah.
So you're like making mounds and mounds and mounds of crap,
Yeah.
emotional crap. So clean out your house. I don't know who you are, but I think you're great. And I think that you should Tell people to clean out their crap more.
Yeah, what is that quote? As above, so below. As
ADIO.
within, so without, right? I think that just explains what her statement was so perfectly.
And she says it's so strange how physical clutter relates to your mindset. So you're spot on. So we cleaned out one of our offices here at our house, and I was explaining to my husband, and I always have permission to speak, like I don't tell his deepest, darkest secrets or anything, but I'm like, whatever you actually don't need in this office, we have a separate place to put it so you have a clear mind, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so like I don't save much, honestly. And she says, what else? She goes, I'm currently tasked with decluttering my parents. Oh, we just lost Shirin for a moment. She'll be back. She says, I'm tasked. Oh, here she is. Yay, you're back. She says, I'm currently tasked with decluttering my parents' house. They both passed in 21. Oh, I'm so sorry. There's
Yeah,
even so
sorry
much.
for your loss.
Yeah. Yeah. And you it's interesting. When you want to talk about when you lose, are your parents around, Shireen? I don't know the
Yeah.
answer. They are.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know one is, but I wasn't sure about the second.
It's
The
more complicated, but
thing,
the
I,
straightforward answer is yes.
so
Mm-hmm.
mine both passed.
Yeah.
And so 18 months apart. And so I I'm actually really okay. Like I connect with them energetically because most people are living multiple timelines and dimensions anyway. So you can still connect with people who've passed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, your loved ones are always around. And that's something that I see when I clear anything inherited, especially when it's coming from deceased family members. They show up for the clearing and they're incredibly grateful for the person in their family bloodline who is doing the work, because it's cleared on a soul level.
who's this? He says, drop StreamYard link to join the live stream. Do you know who that is?
I don't.
Okay, so can't have you on. But thank you. So can't just have a potty.
If he has something to say, hopefully he'll put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I is it Tamal? I don't know how to say your first name. She says, I think they're wanting to join you. I do think they do, and it's not their party, but and that's about let's take that back to boundaries, shall we? So when Tamale, nice to meet you. So like the food, cool. We like food here. Um, so energetic boundaries, I think really, when we're talking about decoding your emotions, it's first like I said, are these emotions yours, and how do you decode, how do you know if they're yours? So what I did is I put in the thread about 20 minutes ago, felt like an hour, um, teaching you how to access source energy and how you use your body as a biofeedback device that Rajai,
Mm,
Aldani, and I taught.
yes.
It's
Yeah.
free to you. It's your divine right to hear God and
Mm-hmm.
tell you how to stay in heart to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, um, to know decoding your emotions, I think the very first step is having awareness if they're yours or not. And then if they're not yours, give them to God to carry for you. But that may be a very temporary band-aid, as
Mm-hmm.
Shireen was saying. And that like if this is deeply corded, ancestral, courting, or through a divorce or something of that nature, you want to see us because we can help you to, as Tamale said, declutter,
Yeah.
declutter your
Yeah.
spiritual body, not just your.
Right.
He declutters the house. We declutter the spiritual body.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think for someone who maybe isn't familiar with biofeedback or, muscle testing, because biofeedback is really just a tool to show us where in the body there's an active stressor, right? But if somebody isn't well versed in that, it's sometimes really hard to tell exactly what's going on. And then it's really important to seek help because it would probably take you so much longer to try and figure it out on your own, as opposed to going to somebody who understands this work, can do it, and can help you. So I know even for myself, I really tried to figure it out on my own for so long. And when I finally read the book, The Emotion Code, I was skeptical. I mean, the stories in the book are incredible. They're so powerful, and it kind of seems too good to be true. And so that's what I thought. I was definitely skeptical, but I finally reached out to a practitioner and I worked with her for a good 6 weeks. And I'm so glad that I did because it got me into a state of empowerment. It got me out of a state of fear really, really quickly. And had I tried to do that on my own, it would have taken me so much longer. And time is precious, and we
Right.
don't,
You
it's
can't get
something we
back
don't
time.
get back. Right, exactly. So I'm so glad that it was really a leap of faith that I took, because what did I have to lose? Yeah, there is a financial investment, but there, to me, in my opinion, there's no better place to invest your money than in your own personal growth.
All day. I mean, that's
Mhm.
one thing I've always spent money on since I was a kid.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
brother, actually, my late brother set that path for me.
Hmm.
Tamale has a really good question, and I want to just bring clarity to that. She says, if you're feeling the emotion, doesn't that make the emotion yours? Answer no. Okay. So you can, so what you came in late, so you can be feeling the emotion of other people in your, especially in your line of work where you're decluttering. Man, there's emotion stuck on everything that you touch, unless it's been cleared. And I highly doubt that it's been cleared. So you
Yeah.
pick up a piece of paper and all of a sudden you start feeling sad, or you pick up a book or a sweater that your mom wore, or your dad's like backgammon set or something. And all of a sudden you start feeling these emotions. They're not yours. They're being transferred because
Hmm.
energy is only transformed and transferred.
And like attracts like. So this, whatever this transferred emotion is, it's resonating with something that you already are feeling deeply, something that's already trapped, that is yours. And because there is this resonance, you are taking it on as your own, even though it's not your own.
Yeah, I mean, totally.
Mhm.
Yes, Tamale. Okay, so she goes. So first of all, do you want to tell her what the book is? Who wrote the book, The Emotion Code? I forgot.
Yeah, I have it. I have it right here. The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson. Can you see
Mhm.
it there?
Yep, it's a
I'm
great
trying to
book.
get it in the screen.
And
Okay,
then
so they can screenshot it.
then
Um,
this book also, The Metaphysical Anatomy of Yvette Rose, how every emotion is connected to every disease. Period. There is no sometimes. It's always, okay?
yeah. And then this is the book on the body code, also by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And he's the one who came up with all these systems that I use. There is no book on the belief code. That's just a certification process that you have to go through. But the emotion code is an incredible read. And it's very empowering in the sense it gives you so much hope, especially if you've been stuck for a long time or are dealing with any kind of symptoms, emotional, mental, physical, just anything. It can help you.
Oh, she got cut out again. She says, if you're going through any emotion, let me.
Did we
So
get cut
let's
off?
clear the energy
Okay,
because
we're
you
back.
guys, so if you're going through any emotion, it can help you. And I'll let you finish your own sentence. Go ahead.
What happened? The screen just
Like,
went out. I thought
what
we got
else? What
disconnected
else?
for a second. Yeah, no, I was just going to
Basically,
say,
it's a tool to allow you to clear energy in a way that brings you joy, sovereignty over your own body, peace, happiness. What else do you want to add to that, Shireen?
well, I was just going to say that I think most people don't realize that trapped emotions, not only do they create a heavy physical and mental and emotional toll on us, they also affect the way that we think, the way we communicate, the choices that we make, and even the level of joy, success, and abundance we can bring into our lives.
The
And they can
tone.
also, Yeah, they can also contribute to pain, malfunction, and disease.
I mean,
So,
it absolutely does. I want to show this book
mhm,
again.
yeah.
Metaphysical Anatomy by Yvette Rose, recommended to me by my one of my mentors who's a naturopathic doctor. So, um, the holistic health community completely understands that emotions are driving disease. And I hate to tell you this, so I hope I'm not the first one to tell you. Pills will not heal your disease unless there's curcumin.
Unless there's supplements that are clean. Yeah.
Well, and then
But
even then, it's not going to heal your disease,
yeah,
honestly.
right. It's
Um,
not going to heal it. It's going to take more than just some supplements,
right.
but they're
It's
definitely good to
interesting.
incorporate.
I'm working with a couple people. I'm a nutritionist, right? And in addition to, my background, because there's some new people here, I'm a nutritionist, brain health professional, board certified in neurolinguistic programming, quantum energy healer, and medical intuitive. And so, here's the thing. I reversed 29 chronic conditions using food as medicine, then lost almost 100 pounds. So cool for me. And I thought, woo woo,
Hmm.
hey, that's just where the shit show started. Okay.
Yes, yes. And I have a
Then I
similar
really
story
had
to
to
that.
do the real work. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the real work is understanding why we do what we do.
Hmm. Yeah. No, and I have a similar story, as you know. I had cancer, and recovering from cancer, I found myself, my health was at the absolute worst it had ever been. And to get myself back, I kind of turned my back to Western medicine. I feel like they got me as far as I had come, but to really get my health back and reclaim my vitality, I decided to use food as medicine, and that's what I did to heal myself as well. And that is where the journey really began, because once I felt better physically, then I realized how much work there was still to do emotionally on a deeper level. So it was the beginning of my healing journey. And at the time, I thought it would be the end, but I was very mistaken because it's a journey, right? There is no end point, is what I've learned.
No, no, no. There is
Mm.
no end point. You
Yeah.
get a little time out sometimes, but
Yeah.
um, and Tamale was saying that she goes, you say this as I'm taking my diabetes meds. Well, I was diabetic and I reversed it. I've reversed it for others. And as far as seizures are concerned, that is a slippery slope. However, I use this thing called a BOD. It's a bioacoustical utilization device. It's based in binaural beats. And you just wear it. It does a reset on the neural network of the brain, setting it back down to baseline. So those things that are instigating seizures, what's a seizure, right? So the brain is not connecting. It's not sending the signal. And it, kind of like it, for layman's terms, goes haywire, right? And so, what would it look like if we could do a reset on the neural network of the brain using a binaural beat that you wear to help your brain receive information in a way that's meaningful, right? And the reason our brains can't receive information in a way that's meaningful is because we live in a very, 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 very toxic world. Okay. They're spraying stuff in our skies every single day. That's why my mineral intake is like quadrupled right now. Okay. So, I mean, you know, Tamale says it's like when your phone freezes and it stops working and you have to restart it. Yeah, so my late brother had seizures and we were working with him until the Western Medical Club got a hold of him, and then we couldn't get into the hospital. But he was actually this is a really I'm going to show this video. I have not shown this video ever. But I want people to see what's possible. Do you guys got a minute?
Yeah.
It's transformational. I want to just kind of tee this up. So my brother, um, My brother had a brain tumor at the same time that I got misdiagnosed. And he had a seizure on the beach in Florida. And so they had to fly him back to Chicago. He was very mistreated by the Western, I call him the Western Medical Club. And there's a chapter dedicated to him in this book because it was just so stupid what happened. Because he was putting a phone by his ear, right? And so the EMF from the phone was clumping the red blood cells by his brain and causing seizures. So Tamale, if you don't know that, don't put the phone by your brain, okay? Because
Yeah.
it's not a good idea.
Yeah. Put it on speaker and don't use earpods.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine who also had who has seizures by repeated trauma. They used her head as a I don't want to even go there. She's a good friend of mine. So I'm going to go to YouTube and I'm going to look at my videos, and it's an unpublished video. And so what happened is we took him to someone who does what I do now. His name was Dr. Danny. And my brother was in a wheelchair. He couldn't walk. And by the time, he saw Dr. Danny for like 30 minutes, right? And let me just see if I can find this. Hold on a second. I saw Dr. Danny for 30 minutes. We took him back downtown Chicago where he lived, which was a 60-minute drive. He slept the entire time. And when he got out, it was almost as if he didn't realize that he couldn't walk. He just got out and started walking.
Amazing.
Yeah. So she says, can you, or Jodi can give you something for your phone to help protect you from EMF. Oh, well, I do have stuff to protect you from EMF. It still doesn't give you the right to put that by your body. It's never a good idea. I mean, like it neutralizes the chaotic energy. Thank you, Jen. But we just don't want to put that technology by our body. There's actually, so it's just not a good idea. But let me
Yeah.
see if I can find this. Why don't you go ahead and tell people something else they need to know about understanding their own emotions. Would you, while I find this out for us?
Yeah. Well, something kind of magical that happens when you do clear out your own emotional baggage is you stop getting triggered. And this just kind of happens really naturally. It's not something that you need to do. There's like no journaling behind it, although that's always positive. There's really no work on your end. It's just something that happens as a product of clearing out what no longer is yours to carry, all of this emotional baggage. Because when we have a lot of trapped emotional energy, what happens is we tend to trap more and more of that same emotional energy. And because like attracts like, this will be an ongoing process until you break that cycle. So when you clear out that baggage, when you get rid of all of these trapped emotions, you start off with a clean slate, which really allows you to move through life differently. It changes your energy. It changes the way that people respond to you, and it changes the way that you respond to situations. So the way that you used to be triggered by things will no longer be the way that you're triggered in the future. It kind of allows you to take a beat and realize that you can actually change your response. It allows you to become more of an observer, just really naturally, again, without so much effort on your end. So it really rewires your brain. It changes your response to situations, to people, to things that normally cause you difficulties. So I think that's incredible. I see that you have the video up.
Yeah, and Tamale's asking about Bluetooth headphones. Look, you have to hardwire. Bluetooth will fry your brain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
AirPods are so bad.
yeah, no AirPods. They
Mhm.
fry your brain, fry your brain, cause seizures. They
Yeah.
cause seizures. Okay.
I know a lot of people that will just wear one and they think that's okay because it's not going through your brain, but that's still so damaging.
Oh, of course it's going through your brain. And
Yeah.
actually, just the moment you open up the case, I have that video too.
Hmm.
Trust me, not good. So I haven't seen this for a long time. There's probably a lot of tears on this video, so just, cope with me. So here we go. My oldest brother, Stephen. And Stephen, Stephen had a brain tumor 20 years ago. They gave him 6 weeks to live. Stephen flooded his body with nutrition, and here he is 20 years later, still living. And if that wasn't amazing enough, we took Stephen to Dr. Danny McLean today. And Stephen was barely walking. He wasn't focused. He wasn't centered. As a matter of fact, he was throwing up in the car on the way to Dr. Danny's. And he's racing through the hallways. We're not just racing through the hallways, like walking at high speed.
I said, let me get your wheelchair, your scooter for you. He said, don't need that.
Don't need that, right? How do you feel?
I'm walking on my own.
Right? Yeah. And this is the first treatment. So in 30 minutes, Dr. Danny reset his immune system. How are you feeling better? Yeah?
Yeah, way better.
Yeah.
And then he's got a treatment next month and the month
So we're
after.
going to do this once a month. And so, if I go back, I can't even begin to tell you what happened like 20 years ago. When you can say what they did to me. So the thing is, peeps, the body, I'm not going to show the rest of it. So the body is so powerful. And what Dr. Danny did is what Shirin and I do at this point. We remove limiting beliefs, we reset immune systems, we reset your body so it can function at its full potential.
Right. I mean, the body is a self-healing system. It knows what it needs in order to flourish and thrive, right? We just need to create the right environment for that to happen. So we remove anything that's in the way, preventing that.
Right. And honestly, we just remove interferences. We're not healing the body.
Right.
The body does what the body does when we take away the things that are stopping it from being its best version of itself.
Yeah.
And that's what Danny did. And, I know there's another video where he's zooming around. I don't have that. That was just me giving a testimony to Dr. Danny, who doesn't want to talk to me anyway. But anyway, so that's why it's not a published. Hey, people go through their stuff. I'm not going to diss him. I'm grateful to him for the rest of my flipping life. Right. But know that whatever you got, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. If you have a belief system that you can heal, that's all you need. And a couple of cool energy healers.
Yeah.
So, how can you put in the private chat your phone number and then tell people your phone number so they can reach out to you?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so my phone number is 312-810-03 810-0361. Still got that Chicago area code, even though I no longer live there. Yeah, so you can send me a text message or call or reach out to me on IG or Facebook through direct message or however.
So a little bit about Shirin and I, because I want to give her a testimony. All right. So Shirin and I met because she invited me to a webinar on emotion code, and I decided to check it out. I immediately knew her spiritual imprint and knew who she was. Like I knew she was a sister, and I told anybody who was on that webinar that she had that they should see her. I just knew, right? Remember that? I don't know if you remember.
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I do.
So, and I don't know you, right?
Right. Yeah.
So Shirin and I work together. We exchange healings multiple times a week. She's powerful. She's powerful beyond. And so, and here's the thing. You might say, well, why would you tell people to go see Shirin or versus coming to see you? Well, because I may not be your healer. I may be, but you know who you're supposed to see. You're supposed to either see me or see Shirin or someone else. It's not us to tell you who to see. It's for you to be guided by God to know who is the person who's supposed to help you self-heal. That's all. And so
Right.
there's never a competition.
Yeah. Yeah. And people resonate with different people for whatever reason.
Oh, excuse me. All right.
I was hoping to see the birds.
Well, I was wondering why they didn't come in. So, all right. Okay, well, Tink's like not doing it, but Bagel is.
Hi, Bagela. Aw, such a cutie.
Mwah. And she smells good.
I thought you would have started the show with her sitting right there.
She was
But
right
that's-
here on her play gym. So
Oh, she was so quiet.
the entire time, which meant she
Yeah.
liked what we were doing. She
Okay.
didn't interfere.
Oh, wow.
That's a high
Amazing.
compliment for the two of us.
That is. That's amazing. But she must have something to say.
Yeah. What? I don't know. You're not really telling me. She goes, end the show, ladies. You gotta. She goes, end the
Wrap
show,
it
ladies.
up.
It's after hours. It's 4:11. All right. We're really grateful and to have you all here and to have you join us to share your wisdom. If you need help, Tamale, understanding ways to neutralize EMF, do call me because that's one of my expertise, right? And some of the things you'll get from me and some of them you won't. Like I'll tell you to go see other people to get that stuff, okay? And woo woo. And give us a call. Shirin's at 312-810-0361. I'm 847-738-0242. And Molly, yes, I have a bird over my head because she rules the roost. Okay. Not my show, her show. So
which she clearly wants us to wrap up.
yeah, she's like, I'm gonna sass you, mama. Right. So
Thank you so much for having me on, Jodi.
What's that?
Thank you so much for having me on. It's been such a pleasure.
Oh, and we'll get you back here, right?
Yeah.
So once you hang on for a minute, we'll end the show and we'll
Okay.
figure out that. All right. Wave goodbye, everybody. Woohoo!